Hello and welcome back to this channel. My name is Zoe and in today's video I want to talk about the books I read in April. In the end of April I read 8 books, which was around 3,896 pages, and I had an average rating of 3.75. I read 2 physical books. It looks different when I show you the books, but I read 2 physical books, 2 books on my Kindle. I listened to 40 audiobooks and 2 of them were ARCs. I read 3 adult books, 1 new adult book and 3 young adult books. I had 1 5-star, 4 4-stars, 3 3-stars and 1 DNF. And I would say let's start first with the DNF. The book I DNF was Girlcrush by Florence given. I was so excited when I picked up the book because I really wanted to read that back when it was first published. Because I thought it's about a young woman named Arthur who wants to discover herself, and because she came out as bisexual to the world and wants to really live the bisexual life and just living her life. Yeah, it turns out that like this part was not really the active part. It turns more into, because she was on the app Wonderland, and it's, I would say similar to Instagram, but just a different name for it. And because of her outing video, she went viral on the internet. But in the coming out video, she didn't just say, oh yeah, I'm bisexual, but she slashed everyone that her mother, because she still is together with her abusive father, and she slashed her ex-boyfriend who was really good. I mean, there are trashy people, but the reason why I DNF'd in the end was the fact that Arthur as a character, I'm also a feminist. I really like to talk about this, but it's not my place to judge about other people's life. I just can say that maybe you should change something because of that what happens, but I know what happened. But it's not my business to bring this out to the world and talk about this publicly without even asking the persons first if they're okay with that. Because the answer will obviously be no. I also didn't want a person talking about my personal life, but I tell them in privacy on Instagram. Like, it's not your place, and it's not okay to do that. This is why I DNF'd this in the end. Also, one honorable mention is that Arthur has a non-binary friend, and she described them as that they never needed to come out as non-binary because of the way they dress and talk and express themselves. And I was like, can we please stop judging people on how they look like, what sexuality and gender they have? Thank you. So okay, let's go to the books that I really enjoyed. Okay, I think we start with the 3 stars first. First 3-star that I had was Klara and the Sun. I read this by Kazuo Ishiguro. This was the book club pick from March and April for Lucy's book club, but I haven't read this yet. And I give this in the end 3 stars. I stopped trying to think about the book more, because the more I think about this, the more I dislike the book, and I would really want to drop my rating. But I will stay with the 3-star, and I just talk about this now, and I will never talk about the book again. The book was not that bad. It was actually, if the story is about Klara, and she's an she's a friend, a robot friend, okay? She's a robot friend, and she gets brought by this whole family to be the friend of a sick girl named Josie. And you read about it, how Klara, because she's really new to the world, and it was really lovely to see how she sees the world and express like the little things, like the sunset and all the things, and was like, oh, I really love it. And it was really cute how this situation was, but the whole plot of the story, like why was Josie sick and what happened through the book, was like really a mindfuck for me, but not in a good way. Because the thing is, because you only read from Claire's perspective, which is nothing bad. I mean, audiobooks behind me have books in it. There are a few books in it that you only follow one person in a book, but the thing is, even though you follow one person in the other books, you get to know things, like you get information. And I had all the time the feeling in this book that I always had the feeling that pieces are missing and you never got the information what was behind it. And like you can never get to know why in the end Josie was really sick, and it's just like guessing and pointing. And he also had all the time Klara, who really told the family she was with, yeah, I know how to cure Josie. You need just to wait for it, and I will cure. I know the cure for it. Nobody thinks about this. But even though she says that, she gives you no explanation why she thinks that. So this is why I give it a 3 star. But the more I think, oh, this is more a 2 star. I'm sorry, people loving this. I see why, but it was not for me. Other 3 star was Sycthe by Neal Shusterman. This was an arc that I got. I overall enjoyed it. Let's first start with the whole world. I think the concept behind this world is that the humans found a cure for everything. Like everything you can heal. There's no cancer anymore, there is no flu, there's nothing anymore, and this is why the life of the humans is longer. They're almost immortal now. They're not immortal, but almost. And because they also heal the world, like there's no climate crisis anymore. It's just they learned how to take proper care of everything. And then there is this guide. This guide got created to select humans, to kill them. It's not, they don't use the word kill for it. I don't know the English word what they use for it, because I read the German arc for it, so I don't know the exact word for it. But they persons, and they have a whole statistic, like in this city this amount of people died before of this cause, so they select people based on that, and they're like, okay, you need now to die. And we follow in the book now 2 children, teenager, one boy and one girl. I forgot their names, and I'm also so lazy to look it up, but you follow them now because they get selected to take an apprenticeship to become a guide, and they both don't really want to become a guide. And it's just a really interesting way to see how the world is maybe in the future. It will definitely not be like that. The reason why I in the end give it 3 stars was this might be a little bit of spoiler, but also Sycthe is out in a long time now. I don't even know why it was a German arc, because it is also even out in German for a long time. But okay, it was the romantic situation in the book, because I didn't really get it. It felt a little bit more forced to me. I had a feeling that the author were writing, so oh, there's one girl and there's one guy, and they're living in a tiny apartment together with a creepy old man who is a guide and says weird things all day. So and because of the competition that they have, because of course only one of them in the end becomes a guide, they have this weird situation going on, so they need to fall in love to add to this complexity, to add to that is maybe more complex in the end, why the other one doesn't want to kill the other one in the end. Oh, but the thing is, this would be okay for me if it would have been described more, because they were like, oh, I'm hating him, I'm hating her, I'm hating him, I'm hating her. And then they kiss randomly, because stay still in their head, they're hating each other. It's not even that they build a friendship with each other, because they were like, okay, in the end one of us can get the Sky title, and we also need to kill each other in the end if one of the other gets the Sky title. So we don't even try to be friends, so we don't get to touch each other, and then suddenly they're in love. I don't really get it. And this would be such more dramatic if you watch them really became friends together, if they really attached to each other, really understand each other, have the same hobbies, do the same things, and then they really found in love to each other, and like that really the whole situation and would be so dramatic. And the thing is, I didn't care for both of them. I would be not surprised in the end with both sides. I would be like, that's fine for me. If you add a romantic situationship to the story, please add more context to the story, why they in the end even fall in love, or not just that. The last 3-star I read was Scions by Josephine and Angelini. This book, it was also an arc that I got. This is the prequel to the Starcross series. So this is a world where also like half gods exist, but they just kind of live in peace next to each other. They're in the houses that they're in. When they meet each other, they have this primal instinct to fight each other till one of them is dead. So this is the prequel to the story. So we follow in the story Daphne, who's the mother of Helen, and Helen was the original series, and we follow the mother now, and Daphne's Helen's father, obviously, how they met each other, how they fall in love, because there's a plot is that they are actually from 2 different houses, and obviously they will need to fight them to death. And the book was fine. It was cute. I think I would definitely enjoy this a lot more if I read it back then, when I was a big fan of the original series, and I could read the prequel after that, just how to know how they met. I didn't know this was the prequel. I didn't know that Daphne anymore, that Daphne is the mother of Helen. When I started reading the arc, I first thought this is another family maybe that met each other, but then it talking about the 90s, and I was like, wait, I think I know this time. Overall, the writing style was really fast-paced. There was a lot of going on, a lot of drama. The typical 2010 YA fantasy dystopian half-god books that we all know and loved. This was exactly that. So I give it an 3 stars. It worked not for me today. I'm almost 24. I do not enjoy books like that really anymore. I would love that as a teenager. Now let's go to my 4 stars. Let's talk about The Hunter Flame first. When you follow this channel, we know that I DNF The Hunter Flames by Hafsha Faizal last year, because I was not really in the mood for it. It was a soft DNF. Sometimes I have a hard DNF, like Girlcrush. I put this in my on-her pile and never get rid of that. And sometimes I have a soft DNF where like, I think I will enjoy this, but not now because I'm not in the mood for it, so I DNF it and pick it up later. This is what happened with The Hunter Flame, and I picked it up again and I really liked it. I liked the writing style. It was more about the world and the characters that build up. People say the romance in this is really good. I really enjoyed in the end that this was a really slow burn romance and nothing really happened to the end of it, and you follow them during the story or on the way, because they're doing things in the book, they're on the way to something, and you follow them going through that and really hating each other, but then a few things happen obviously, and this is what I meant with building it up to see how the characters went from I'm hating you to I will die for you. Like, there's a way between it, and not just like kiss randomly one day. And I really enjoyed this, and I'm excited to read the Sons, the second book, and the end. This is a duology. So the next 4 star was actually a really big surprise for me. It was Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare, and it was a really big surprise for me because, as you know, I read all the Shadowhunter books, except for a few of the tiny spin-offs with the duology type stuff, Red Skulls and something like that. I ended up really liking it. I don't really know why, because I talk really shit about the book in a vlog, but I ended up really enjoying it. The one part that I really hated, and I will stand to this point that I hated it, and I will hate it to the end of my day, it is just a fucking trope. I was like in the book. It's just a fucking trope, and it's had nothing to do with the series, it had nothing to do with Cassandra Clare. I fucking hate the miscommunication trope. I just so fucking hate this trope, because the whole series, like the whole chain, Last Overseas, doesn't need to be that fucking long. Look at how thick the book is. If James and Cordelia will especially James. James is a fucking hero. If all the heroines just open their fucking mouth and talk, all the books would not exist. I will stand to the point. And this is, yeah, I just don't, this trope. I really hate it. Wait, I can exactly show you how long it takes Cordelia and James to fucking talk with each other. Like proper adults, okay? I just need to find, yeah. Do you see this? Can you see this? This is how long these took, both of them took them to fucking talk with each other. This is 452 pages. 452 pages. It took them to fucking talk with each other. Okay. But besides that, I really enjoyed it. I loved how the whole dynamics of the family was, or the friends, especially Friends family. They're our family. They're all related to each other. The whole Shadowhunter world is a fucking incest pool. I also would take this to my grave. No one can convince me otherwise. I have a lot of proof to prove that they're all related to each other, okay? That I really like this, and also how they talk about Matthew's mental health issues and how they try to solve that. I think it was actually great how they talked about this. I'm not really a fan of this type of mental illness when it happens in books. If you read it, you will know what I mean, because I don't think that most of the books give the book this mental health, this justice that it needs to have, because it's such a complicated and sensitive topic to tackle. I mean, all mental illness are really hard to tackle, but I think especially this one is one that I generally dislike in books, because it's not the way they try to solve it is always just a bit give me the ick how in the end it works out, and because I know it's not like that in real life. So okay, I also liked the drama in the end. It was really exciting, and I listened to the last 400 pages in one day in an audiobook while I did my diamond painting. And this means something, because me sitting down to listen 4 hours straight to an audiobook it happens a lot, but it needs to be a good book, because otherwise it would just switch to another audiobook or just switch to music or YouTube videos so I can watch a series. So this was good, okay? I liked it. And the end, she said it was the last series, but obviously the end, I think it will open to a different series. I think there's a chance, but I don't think I will read this series. Did I even talk about this book? Probably, or I just screamed at you. 4 stars that I had this month and I finished it. It was A Court of Mist and Fury. I really like this. This was a reread for me. I don't know I don't know which rating I gave this originally back then when I first read it. This was my first reread of the series. But what I really like about her writing style is the way she writes about mental illnesses. About mental illness. The description of depression and anxiety, and I don't know about PTSD, because about PTSD I don't have that. I already have 2 other mental illnesses. I think that's enough. But I really love how she talks about them, and how the description of the characters are when they are going through that, and also how other people view them from the outside. I really like that, and also like how the whole family comes together. I would say still that from all Sarah J. Maas books, I like Throne of Glass more. I liked this book is just, as a fantasy girly, and I really love fantasy. I love fantasy with a romantic subplot. I like A Court of Thorns and Roses and the whole series as a romantasy. I think it's a good romantasy series, but it's just not my favorite. I like fantasy with some romantic subplot, and this is a difference if you have a romantasy or if you have a fantasy book with a romantic subplot. But I really enjoyed it in the end, 4 stars, and I definitely read the next book too, A Court of Mist and Fury, and I definitely want to reread A Court of Silver Flames. This is why in the end, this is why I reread the books in the first place, because I really want to read A Court of Silver Flames. This is A Court of Silver Flames. It's just pure smut. and I really want to read that. The last first read I had was the book Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa, and this was for the Cassandra book club that I have with Jenny, Dorothy and Kelsey. We also have a Discord channel. I have the link down in the description down below if you want to check it out. And we read in April Wedding Crasher, and I really loved this book. The first thing I was doing really a bit more like this because we have Solange. I think I know it was Solange. I can pronounce it. Solange, she was with her cousin at a wedding because the cousin is a wedding planner. I think they're talking about the cousin in the first book. This was actually a series, but it's not connected. Also it's connected to each other, but you don't have to read the first one to read the second one. It's like it's a series, but it's every time about a different character. There's a name for it. I just don't know the name in the moment. And the Solange goes to the wedding, and she overhears at the wedding how the bride talks about the groom, and that the bride doesn't really want to marry the groom, and she's in love with someone else, and she also kisses the person who is the other person. So the wedding happens, and when the priest says, or I don't know who said it in the end, like, has someone against the marriage? And Solange says, yes, I have something against it because clearly the bride doesn't love the groom. And then the wedding gets cancelled, and the groom is in a miserable place because the whole wedding was set up because he wanted to get married to get a promotion at work. So this was the thing where I first stopped and was like, this sounds so American for me. This sounds like USA. Because why do you want to marry just to get a promotion at work? I don't know exactly how it is in Germany, but I don't think it's a necessary thing to be married to get a promotion at work. I think this is a US thing. So I was like, okay. So Solange and the groom, that I forgot his name, but it's okay. We don't need to know his name. They fake date to so he gets in the end this promotion. And the thing is with this, when the groom started talking about fake dating Solange to still get a promotion because he is like in a serious relationship and he can prove that to work, I was like, how can you prove to your work? The work knows that you wanted to marry someone last week, and now you're together with someone else, and so this is a serious relationship, so you get a promotion. I would try to play the "my bride left me at the altar" card. I was like, can you believe it? She was the love of my life, please. So, you know what I mean? This fake dating was like giving me a little bit of the ick because the whole setup was weird, and also like the why was weird. One of the characters, I really liked them. Love to see how they both in the end get to know each other, how they find similarities between each other, and how they fell in love with each other. Also the smut was great. I tell you, I listened to all the smut scenes in the car because I don't know what happens to me in my life that every time I sit down in my car and listen to a fucking audiobook in the car while I drive to work, it's always the smut scenes that are playing in the car. And I got so much secondhand embarrassment because I know that everyone knows around me that I listen to pure smut while I'm sitting in my car waiting for the green light to drive more, okay? And everyone hears what I'm hearing, and I was so embarrassed. But it was so good that I didn't stop playing it. I wanted to know how the whole situation was ending up. So I really liked it. The only thing that I still think about sometimes when I'm sitting here and try to do something for uni and my thoughts go wild, I still think about what happened to the wedding, the original wedding. What happened to that? What happened with the presents? Because I know that the presents table is going wild in the US. Like, what happened to the presents? Do they give them back? Who take care of that to give the presents back? Who pays the wedding? Even though it got cancelled. Like, someone needs to pay the wedding. Because the venue is not like, oh, the bride runs away. it still makes, you still owe me money. I'm sorry to hear that, to write once away. But this is what I'm thinking about sometimes, because I never talked about it again. My only 5-star, and I was so excited. Happy Place, Happy Place. So, Happy Place by Miss Emily Henry. Emily Henry, I would read everything from her. From her grocery list to her diary entry, I would read everything from her and I will love it. So, Happy Place is about Harriet and Min. Harriet and Min know each other since a long time. They were also together, they were also engaged to each other. And due to some circumstances, they broke up 5 months ago, 6 months ago, 5 months ago. But they didn't tell their friends. And they're in this whole friend group together and they are traveling every year for 1 week to this beach house from one of their friends and having a great time with each other, and this time they need to go there too. And Win and Harriet needs to be fake dating. The fake dating trope, let's ignore it. Let's just shove it away, the fake dating trope, because it's not giving the same vibe like the other fake dating trope, because they already know each other, they already know how to act next to each other, to act like a couple, because they were already a couple for a long time, 6 years I think, or 7 years. So they know how to act with each other, how they need to sit with each other, how they need to hold hands with each other, so the friends don't get confused like what happened in the moment. I love the second chance moments, and you know why I loved it? Because Emily Henry did it again the same way. She wrote People Leaving on Vacation. You read about the happy place first, and happy place is the past, and then you go to the real life, which is the present. So we will read back and forth what happens in the past, how Win and Harriet met each other for the first time, how they moved in for the first time together, how they moved out, and all that stuff. You get to know it this without having like this weird flashback scenes. I like this style. This is the perfect example like how you can do it. Just going back and forth, you get chapter by chapter more information, like how did it end up getting in the real life to this we broke up moment. And when I tell you I cried so hard. I cried my eyes out. It was fucking amazing. And I loved it. Also, this was the book club pick for May, for the Kiss and Tell book club. I already read it because I picked it up. I was like, reading. I really enjoyed this. I want to reread this. I starting annotating this, but I really wanted to read more in it, so I just put my marks in there and didn't even write down what I even wanted to annotate, because I was so invested in this book. I wanted to keep reading. Need to take a break because I also learned for a test. So the times when I learned for the test, I don't want to talk about the test. I was like, I just want to read more, and it was beautiful. Happy Place is my happy place. So this was everything I read in April. 8 books in total, and I can't wait to talk about May, because I read so many good books in May. I can't wait to talk about this, but okay. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you watched this to the end, let me leave me an emoji that is related to something that will happen at the beach. Because of Happy Place, there's a beach in it, okay? And let me know in the comments also what your favorite book of April was, and then I will link everything in the description down below, what you need to know, and then I will see you in my next video. Bye!